Welcome back into Sports Drive. I'm Preston Moore. Once again, I mentioned it's a big day. We're going to talk a lot of high school football. We just had Lance Leonard on to talk about a lot of games, but one game we didn't talk about was the Amarillo High Sandies, who are going to be facing undefeated Midlothian. And today joining us, we have head coach Chad Dunnam of the Sandies. Coach Dunnam, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you today?
Doing well. You guys have, well, let's talk about last week for a little bit first. You had a really successful win against Parkland. Tell me about that game and what it means to get that first playoff win under your belt.
Oh, it was so the Parkland game last week. It ended up being a good game. We end up, a pretty good performance by us. Anytime you take it's roughly about 9 hours on the bus. 9 hours down, 9 hours back. It can be taxing on you, taxing on your body, and just you're out of your element. You're down there in El Paso, just out of it's not anything that you're used to by any means. But our kids handled the trip well. We drove down the day before and spent the night. Woke up that next morning and had breakfast. Went and did a walkthrough and made our way to the stadium and played well. We played first quarter. We came out really hot. Mason Graham led the charge offensively. Really doing some good things, managing the game well, took care of the football, made some good decisions. Was able to get us. We were up 17-0, going in to score again. We fumble the ball and then give up a big play defensively and kind of had a lull. We kind of stalled out in the second quarter. Wasn't proud of our performance by any means in the second quarter, but we were kind of able to survive their charge a little bit right there, and then came back out throughout the third quarter. Played pretty well. They played well as well in the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter we were able to put them away. So I felt like it was a good performance by us. We just. I'm not making excuses, but it's a little bit to be expected that there would be a little bit of a lull within that ball game just because of the trip. The trip alone. We went into the ball game. I told our kids, going into the ball game, I expected us to, it's like being down 10 when the game starts. It's Sandy 0, them 10. So we you have to fight your way out of that. And we did a good job of handling that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you have another trip coming up this week. Friday, you guys are facing Midlothian in Wichita Falls. Midlothian 11-0, undefeated for the first time since 1984. So they're playing for a little bit of a, maybe something bigger. They want to keep this going. This is a historic season for their school. But as we've seen across the season, Amarillo High can play with the best of them. So what do you think are the keys to handing Midlothian their first loss?
First of all, we've just got to play a complete ball game. They're a good enough team that if you aren't on your A game offensively, defensively, or in the kicking game in any of those aspects, they're going to make you pay. So what we got to do is we got to do a really good job of moving the football. We got to do a good job of taking care of the football. Got to do a good job of managing our penalties and keeping our penalties to a minimum. And put some points on the board. Cannot get beat in the kicking game. We can't beat ourselves by any means. And then we have to defensively stop a pretty explosive triple option. Not just triple option, a little bit more multiple than that. An explosive offense. They've got couple of really good running backs. Their quarterback is a tough physical. You can tell he's just a tenacious football player. And then they've got a outside receiver that is one of the better receivers in the Metroplex area. So, or in the state of Texas. He's a really good receiver, just a junior. Senior-led football team for the most part with Midlothian, but that junior is an impressive player over there at the receiver position. So we're going to have to play a complete ball game. We're going to have to get some stops. We're going to have to, our possessions are probably going to be limited because they're a ground and pound, run the football type football team. So when we get our possessions, we've got to make them count.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to talk about when you're playing an offense as explosive as Midlothian's is and has shown to be throughout the season so far, And one thing that we've seen across really everybody's season, this whole season, is if you win the turnover battle, you're probably going to win the game. You've got a good shot at winning the game. How important are turnovers against a team that's so explosive? If you can unsettle that momentum, if you can, take a little bit of that explosiveness away through a turnover, tell me how important that is.
Oh, it's huge. For the most part, you'll look at most games. The analytics of ball games is that the team that's positive in the turnover margin usually wins the ball game. So, especially a playoff game, you can't turn the football over against good football teams and expect to beat them. Us creating some takeaways, that's just an extra possession that you get that gives you an opportunity to go get points out of. So it's huge. We've got to attack the football. We've got to tackle aggressively and try to force them to put the ball on the ground. And we've traded 11 ball games, and over the course of 11 ball games, they've put the ball on the ground a little bit, but we're going to have to work really, really hard at trying to get them to put the ball on the ground because they operate very, very efficiently, and they operate really well offensively.
Mm-hmm. You guys have won 3 in a row. It's your longest win streak of the season. Would you say that your team is hitting their stride at the perfect moment?
You'd like to think so. We talk about that. That's one thing that we're telling our kids is, we've seen some adversity throughout the course of the season, and we've had an opportunity to heal up and kind of right the ship right here at the right time. So, what happened in the non-district and what happened throughout district play doesn't matter now. It's a matter of getting the tournament, getting so playing our ball, letting the season is our goal. The beginning of this. It's still right here in front of us. It's still a reality, and I think we're playing good football right now, and I'm encouraged and motivated to see if we can't even improve that and get better throughout the course of the playoffs.
Yeah, one thing that we talk about a lot is, what kind of challenges does your upcoming team present to you that you maybe haven't seen over the course of the season. But I want to ask, what kind of challenges do you think you can present to Midlothian that maybe they haven't seen? What kind of things can what kind of challenges can your offense and your defense present to them that is going to maybe knock them off their rocker as they're, obviously coming in 11-0?
Yeah, what the obvious thing that I think works in our favor is we've played, this will be the third flexbone football team we've played this year. So it gives us I think our kids understand the flexbone offense. I think they understand their assignments and their responsibilities. And I think we're a disciplined group of kids that understand the value of playing disciplined assignment football when it comes to defending the flexbone triple option. So I think that works in our favor. Secondly, I think we've just got some explosive players as well. I think when Mason Graham, he's hot right now and playing well. I think Mason's as good of a quarterback as there is to lead the charge with guys like Jamison Garcia. There's Connor Helsley, there's Jack Hooksema. Every one of those guys have big play abilities, and we're excited about that. Then you also, with the use of J.Q. Irving in the backfield and Eddie Impella in the backfield, as well as Pius Brooks, I think we've got some kids that can run, have good speed, and, I think we can pose some threats.
I agree. Well, Coach, thank you for coming on once again. Amarillo High facing off against undefeated Midlothian this Friday in Wichita Falls at 7 p.m. It'll be a really great game, one that I think a lot of the people in the Panhandle are excited for and rooting for the Sandys in. Coach, once again, thank you for coming on, and best of luck on Friday.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Stay tuned after the break. Stick around. We're going to have a little bit more Sports Drive talk, a little bit more high school football as well as where you can watch some of these games or listen to some of these games that we've talked about. So stick around.